Do you have an older mentor, somebody who's 10 years older, 5 years older, 25 years older, who you can go to talk about life, to talk about your problems, to learn about faith, and to be mentored and encouraged? Do you have an Elizabeth in your life? I've had multiple Elizabeths in my life, typically men, though some women as well, who were like older sisters or older brothers or even parents to me. When I was in seminary in Dallas, that mentor, that Elizabeth, was for me a man named Bob Robertson. You see him in this photograph. And this was right as I was graduating in 1988. And yes, perms were the thing in the mid to late 1980s. And I'd had one for several years. And I was just getting ready to graduate. And I will tell you, this man, he changed how I looked at ministry. He taught me so much. He wasn't the best preacher in the world. He was okay. But he was a great people person and a great leader. And who I became as a pastor is in part because of him. And he ended up shaping the direction I would head and ended up encouraging me and caring for me and celebrated the victories. And he was there when I was struggling. And then later in life, as he would go through journeys of challenge or difficulty, we would talk, and I had a chance to be an encouragement for him and to care for him and pray with him before he passed. And my life will forever be different because of Bob Robertson. Here's another one. Some of you know this, the person in this photograph. This was when I was 40 years old, my 40th birthday, and Ray Firestone had just turned 80. And as he retired, he became a part of our team here at Church of the Resurrection. He volunteered, and he would challenge me and ask questions and encourage me. And there were times it was irritating, but most of the time it was a blessing and a great gift to me to have somebody who could ask questions and push hard. And he changed how I thought about many things. He left me his library when he passed. I had a chance, and that photo you saw, that was a time where he preached his last sermon. And I preached the first half of the sermon. He preached the last half. I preached on what it means to be in ministry and to be a Christian at age 40, and he preached on what it's like to be 80. And later on, when he approached death, to hold his hand and to be praying for him and encouraging and caring for him, even as he'd cared for me. I wonder, do you have an Elizabeth in your life? Here at Church of the Resurrection, we have a couple of young adult groups that are meeting. One is just our not just, but it's our young adult ministry where we have 60 to 80 young adults who get together and hang out, and they just have a great time together, sometimes less, sometimes more. And I met with some of the leaders in that group. I think they were all in their 20s, and I just asked them, what is it you need? How as a pastor can I make sure we have the ministry that you need? And it was interesting what they said is, we're looking for older mentors. We're looking for people, and older meaning people like my age. We're looking for people who are like our parents' age, who can, we can talk to about things and who will help guide us. I was thinking they just wanted to hang out with people in their 20s and 30s. They're like, no, we would love to have, sponsors like youth sponsors, but young adult sponsors who can hang out with us, lead small groups with us. So we've got somebody who's been around the block, who understands, not our parents, but we're looking for other people who can be that for us. Like I was shocked, but I was also realizing, this is a longing for many people. At Church of the Resurrection, our hope is to be a multi-generational church. We have young adults and older adults and everybody in between, and our goal is to be a church for all generations, where older generations might have a chance to mentor younger generations, but younger generations are mentoring older generations, and we're thriving because we're all somebody's Elizabeth and we're all somebody's Mary. I began being an Elizabeth for children when I gave my life to Christ as a teenager, and as a member of the youth group, I started teaching children's Sunday school. I became an Elizabeth for these little Marys, and then I became, when I went to college, I began working with teenagers, and on it went. And the truth is, we all need an Elizabeth and we all need a Mary. We have another group here at the church called our Emerging Leaders Group, and you have to apply for this. So we've got about 50 or 60 young adults in that group, and they have mentors. They have assigned mentors, and they have talks on leadership and on spiritual leadership. And these are all people that we anticipate becoming leaders in our church in the future. And we're taking 45 of them to the Holy Land in February, and I'm going to get to spend a week along with some of their mentors walking the Holy Land, walking in the footsteps of Jesus and talking about faith and life. And I'm so excited about this. And these folks, it's just a blessing for both the mentors and the mentees. And I thought you might enjoy hearing from one of those mentors and one of those mentees, Debbie Nixon, who's a member of our staff, and Catherine Guterman, who is one of the mentees in this program. Take a listen.
I think I wanted to invest in mentoring because I wanted to have an opportunity to invest in the next generation or a younger generation. And I wanted to find a way also to serve.
And for me, I have quite a few friends my age within the church, and it was just an exciting opportunity for me to kind of bridge the gaps across the church and learn more about other opportunities within the church and really just being able to grow.
I think Probably some of my best experiences through our mentoring is the opportunity that we've had to go on mission trips together, to serve here in the community. We have learned something that has made us more aware of just the goodness of God in our lives. And I think that's what a mentoring relationship does, is we have the opportunity to help one another become our better selves. So she runs straight to Elizabeth. And I'm thinking, Catherine, when you found out you were pregnant, and I remember walking into the room and you had found out fairly recently. And I walked in and I looked at you and went, there was something, I just knew that something was different. And you looked back at me and I think there was a moment where you knew that I knew.
It's one of those trusted relationships, and I knew that as soon as, I confirmed that that was the case, that, Debbie would have all sorts of wisdom to pour out and just being excited for me. And that's been a really great part of this. Is it's not just about the church, it's not just about our faith, it's not just about mentoring and what we can use at work or wherever it is. It's also just about friendship and encouragement, and just knowing that you have someone that when life gets hard or when life is great, either way, you have someone to share that with.
I love that. And this doesn't just happen within the walls of the church. It happens outside the walls. It happens in lots of our ministries, but it also happens in the workplace. I think about our senior adult ministry here and our Silverlink ministry. And we have volunteers who go out and they visit the care centers and they visit, assisted living centers, and they just pour into the people there, and they love them. They are Marys coming to these Elizabeths, but when they listen carefully, they also find that those Elizabeths have a lot to offer in the care center, assisted living center, nursing homes, retirement communities. There's just something profound about this. And in the workplace, you have a chance to do it in the workplace. You have a chance to do it, in your neighborhood, when you've got older adults in your neighborhood or younger adults and you're investing in each other. There's so many ways and so many places if we only take the time to do it. Everyone needs an Elizabeth, and everyone needs to be an Elizabeth for someone else. I want to ask you again, who's your Elizabeth? And whose Elizabeth are you?
Thanks for checking out the weekly sermon from Church of the Resurrection. I pray that God will use this message to speak to you and help you grow in your faith journey. If you're in the KC area, I'd like to invite you to join us next week at one of our services, or join us in live worship online at core.org/worship. Church of the Resurrection is one church in multiple locations. To learn more about the service times in our ministries, please visit core.org. Hope you enjoy this week's message.